The craziest election story of the year got crazier today and possibly a bit more criminal, with CNBC reporting more details about how George Santos lied his way into the House of Representatives. Wealthy donors received calls and emails from a man who said he was Dan Meyer, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy's chief of staff during the 2020 and 2022 election cycles, according to people familiar with the matter. His name was actually Sam Miele, and he worked for Santos raising money for his campaign, according to one GOP donor who contributed to Santos's campaign. The financier and some others in this story declined to be named in order to speak freely about private discussions. That report goes on to detail how George Santos's lies about being Jewish earned him at least one major donation from a member of the Republican Jewish Coalition, a group that has since banned him from future events. Today, the Campaign Legal Center filed a formal complaint with the Federal Elections Commission accusing George Santos of knowingly and willfully concealing the true sources of his campaign's funding, misrepresenting how his campaign spent its money, and illegally paying for personal expenses with campaign funds. Federal prosecutors in New York are currently investigating George Santos and his financial dealings. A separate inquiry by a New York district attorney and in Brooklyn is scrutinizing all of the lies he told to get elected to see if any of them crossed the threshold from unethical to illegal. George Santos refused to answer any questions about any of this today.
Why don't you answer our questions?
Please clear the way. We'll be addressing the media soon.
When is soon?
On my time.
Your time. You're representing the people of New York.
Joining us now is David Kelly, former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. For me, the mystery of the $700,000. Suddenly, George Santos lends his campaign $700,000 because the only person who has no campaign contribution limits is the candidate himself. If someone gave him $700,000, that person wouldn't be able to put it directly into the campaign. Isn't the $700,000 where all the investigative focus should be?
You know, I got to tell you, Lawrence, as a prosecutor looking at this case is kind of looking at your plate at a Thanksgiving feast and thinking to yourself, where do I begin? But yeah, I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. You know, the 199.99 disbursements and the FEC and so forth. But obviously, you're going to turn, I think, your attention most to the $750,000 campaign contribution that he made and question, you know, where did he get this? And if he got it, it's income. Did he file his taxes? Is he concealing the money from somebody else? Is he possibly engaging in money laundering by having done so? So there's a whole host of avenues that you're going to pursue here.
So how does it get from a Federal Elections Commission violation, which is essentially meaningless? People violate FEC rules all the time and they don't get penalized for it. How does it go from that to what happened to Michael Cohen, where he ended up doing 3 years, getting sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for a campaign finance violation? The $130,000 spent to silence Stormy Daniels was considered to be, in effect, an illegal contribution to the campaign. How do you get this kind of campaign contribution into investigation into the criminal territory?
Well, in Cohen's case, he also had some personal tax issues unrelated to the Stormy Daniels. But that having been said, the FEC has a lot of technical violations that are treated civilly, oftentimes to give an opportunity to correct it. But when you have a whole pattern of what appear to be intentionally concealing or intentionally misleading, that will turn it into a criminal violation. And not only from FEC standpoint, but you also get into fraud issues. I mean, you talked about at the outset here, concealing from where he got the money and maybe misleading people about his background. You know, there could be some fraud charges there as well. So taking it from the civil context to the criminal really looks at kind of the pattern, the intent, and what you're trying to achieve here, which is an intentionally misleading the FEC as to where your money has come from and how you use that, as opposed to a technical violation and oversight or just kind of sloppy bookkeeping.